Welcome to the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon video series. This one, we're talking about first-time boat buyers. It's the first-time boat buyer's guide. This is part one. We're going to get into more details in a second part. We'll talk more about that in just a second. So what can you expect over the next 25 minutes? And as always, this is brought to you by the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon Toolkit, which you can learn more and grab your free copy at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com. What to expect in the next 25 minutes. Types of boats. We're going to go through the types, the pros and cons in each. Why boating? New versus used. Dealer versus private seller. Questions to ask. True cost of boat ownership. Cash versus financing. Insider secrets. We're going to talk a little bit about boat shows. Then we're going to talk about the best negotiation question to save money and how you can use that to your advantage. So let's talk about different styles of boats. And we're going to go through these in groups of four. I'll try to lump them together in a way that makes sense. So these are all fiberglass boats. They all look very similar, right? Fiberglass with some sort of power source, but they're each very unique and offer different benefits. The top left one, number one, is a traditional bow rider. When you say boat, that's what a lot of people think. It's a fiberglass boat. It's got a V-hull. It's powered typically with a stern drive, a Mercruiser or a Volvo. It could be powered with an outboard, with a Yamaha, Mercury, Suzuki, Honda, whatever. Number two is a deck boat. Again, it's a fiberglass boat. It has a V shape to the bottom, but it flares out up top, and instead of coming to that sharp point that you see in number one, it's got that big wide area. This one has a big pronounced swim platform up in the bow. Not all of them do, but it could be powered by a stern drive or an outboard engine. And these two specifically are very popular with family boaters. They're very versatile. They are great for doing water sports. They're comfortable cruising. They handle the chop really well. The deck boat's a little more utilitarian, a little more room, more like an SUV or a minivan, where the bow rider is a little bit sportier, has that sharper lines, and that they can still do the family style boating. Now number three is actually a wakeboard boat or a surf boat or a tow boat. This happens to be one of the most popular segments. But this boat looks very similar to number one. However, if you were to look at the drive system, the way the boat is propelled, this one has a V-drive system. Some of them will have a direct drive system. But essentially, instead of having the engine in the boat and a portion that comes out the back that powers it, called the stern drive, like number one, this one has the entire engine in the boat, and the only thing out the bottom of the boat is a shaft that goes to a big prop that has a rudder behind it for steering. Now, these boats are great for doing water sports. If you're into surfing, wakeboarding, if you're a slalom skier, the direct drive is a great option. If you're big into water sports, this is a fantastic way to go. Now, because of the drive system, they tend not to be as smooth, as comfortable, but in today's day and age, they're very popular. They have a lot of room inside, and they're great for doing water sports. On the flip side, because they're good for doing water sports, they've got a lot of torque out of the hole, but they're not designed to be super fast. Even though it looks like it should be a 70-mile-an-hour boat, top speed is probably closer to 40 or so. Whereas number one and number two, depending on the power plant, those are going to run from 40 to 60 miles an hour, depending on the type of horsepower that they have on them. But because of the engine design, that allows it to adjust the angle of attack of the propeller, it allows it to rise smoother in rougher water, where number three does not. It's just a stationary shaft and prop, great for water sports. Number four is what's called a jet boat. This happens to be a Yamaha. It's the biggest player. There's also Scarab, Chaparral made a version of the jet boat. There's some older ones. Sea-Doo had made one. Sea Ray made one years and years and years ago. But it looks very much like a bow rider. Number one, if you were to look at it from the waterline up, you would say it's a bow rider. But when you look at the propulsion system, It's actually a jet drive, which means that there's no propeller outside the boat. There's only a small little drive system that has an impeller, and it has a water intake about halfway down the boat. Intakes the water, runs it through that impeller system, and it shoots it out the back in a big stream, and it may be a single or a twin engine. And these boats are fun and they're sporty. They don't have the same ride characteristics as a bow ride or a deck boat because of the drive system, but they're fun, sporty boats to run. Now, if you want more detail on the drive system, which has a big impact on some of the pros and cons, we have another video that you can watch. It'll be in the show notes, and it compares stern drives, outboards, direct drives or inboards, and jet drives. So you can go and look at all that. But these four different boats, even though they look very similar. Now, this next group of boats, a little variety here. We start with number 1 in the top left, which is a pontoon. So you have pontoons and tri-toons, which are very similar. We've got another video that goes into the detail of the differences between the two, the benefits, pros and cons of each, and which one's right for you, depending on your situation. As with any boat, there's not a right boat. There's a right boat for where you boat, the type of boating you do, the water that you boat on, and that will lead you to the right couple of boats that will be right for you. The pontoon is the same way. A pontoon or tri-toon could be right for you. Here's the big advantage to the pontoon. They have a ton of room. Now, some of them only go 15 miles an hour. Others can go up to 70. There's one that the world record on pontoons is 107 miles an hour, I think, with twin and triple engines, and they're going crazy. But you can have a pontoon or a tri-toon that can do all of the water sports that you want to do. It's just a matter of having the right horsepower and the right setup. So go watch that video if you're interested in pontoons. Keep watching this one, but then go watch that the pontoon tri-toon video, and it'll help you make that decision. These boats are great to leave in the water year-round. Most of them have an outboard, so they're easy to use throughout the year. And one of the advantages of the outboard is the ease of getting ready to handle winter if you're in a winter freezing climate. Number 2 is a cuddy cabin. Cuddy cabins, they look a lot like a bow rider, except they're closed off in the bow. And down there is a small cabin. Now, the cabin may have a little bit of a sleeping area, maybe a small head compartment, maybe it's got a little galley, but they're not super functional. You probably cannot stand up down there on most of them. They're going to be from 19 feet to 24. Maybe there's some go-fast boats that have the cuddy that are much bigger. But for the most part, a cuddy cabin is going to be from 19 to 24, maybe 26 feet. And then there's another kind of subcategory that I would call a go-fast boat, which is low profile. It's all about speed. And for the structural support, they close off the cabin. They close off the bow of the boat for that extra structural support because they're designed to go super fast in super choppy water. A lot of them do poker runs and run offshore. Go island hopping, things like that. The cuddy cabin, it's a great boat, gives you a little area to get out of the sun, but it also just leaves you the back half of the boat. They're typically going to be a stern drive. Some of them will be outboards, but most of them are going to be a stern drive fiberglass boat. Number 3 is a yacht, a sport yacht, a cruiser. Depending on the size, will determine what it's classified within that category. But a cruiser is going to be 24 to 30 some feet. A yacht's going to be from 40, maybe 50 to 60, and a super yacht will be anything over 60, 70, 80, 100 feet. Essentially, it is the same thing. You've got the bow is covered, and down there you have a cabin. Now, in a smaller one, a 26-footer, you might have a couple little sleeping areas, not staterooms like you would on a yacht or sport yacht, but a sleeping area up in the bow, maybe one that's in the rear. The aft cabin is what they may call it. You probably have a little kitchenette, maybe a stove, a microwave, a coffee pot, a sink, a head compartment that converts into a shower. Those are great if you're going to overnight If you're going to use your boat as kind of a condo on the water, if you get in that bigger size, if you want a place for the kids to go down and have some creature comforts, they might have a TV. You might even have a generator that allows you to have electricity while you're out on the water. Maybe you'll have air conditioning. You may have heat. But though they give a little bit more comfort on the water. Now, typically, you're not going to trailer those boats unless you're under 28 feet, maybe 30 feet and below. You may trailer them. But most of the time, you're going to leave them on the water, and you're going to boat in that body of water most of the time. Again, great option for entertaining. You do give up the outside comfort of the bow. You can't lounge up in the bow in a seat. You can throw a towel there and have a layout area, maybe put a pad up there. But you're going to entertain in the back of the boat. You can entertain in the boat, and you can sleep over on the boat. Those cruisers are great for retired couples. Tend to like them to have a place to go. They're very social on the docks. If you're on the docks and you're in a cruiser area, other people will likely be overnighting on their boat, and they're very enjoyable there. Number 4 is a center console. Center consoles are notoriously at the coast in saltwater environment. They have the center console, which is where you steer from, and then they have seating around. Typically going to be powered with an outboard or multiple outboards. They may have that top, which is called a T-top, or they may not. But a center console, the boat is steered from the middle of the boat. They're now becoming more popular in the inland lakes. You're seeing them on Lake of the Ozarks, on the Great Lakes, and you're seeing them around where you used to not see them. Part of that is because now they're putting twin, triples, quad engines on these, and they can be enormous. They can get up to 40, 50 feet of a center console, and they're just stacking the outboard power on them to get the speed. But you could also have an 18-foot bay boat with a center console that's going to get up in the skinny creeks and great for fishing. These boats are often equipped for fishing, and they're very versatile. You can do some water sports behind all of them, or behind most of them, as you get up into the 25 feet and below, 26 feet and below. You can pull a water tube, You can pull a tube, pull a wakeboarder, a water skier, and you can also do your fishing. You can jump in it, run to the restaurant on the waterway. Those center consoles are very versatile, oftentimes trailerable, and again, typically powered with an outboard. We've got a great video on buying used center consoles because they're operated tend to be operated in saltwater, and that's a great video to watch. Now, as we go into fishing, there's a lot of fishing options as well. Number 1, you've got your basic aluminum fishing boat. This one's got a tiller motor. It could have a side console with a steering wheel. May have a trolling motor on it up in the bow, but that's your basic aluminum fishing boat. Very inexpensive way to get in boating. Aluminum tends to be cheaper than fiberglass, especially right now with petroleum prices. A 16-foot aluminum boat with a 40 outboard on it, you can get into for under 10 grand easy, with the trailer and everything. Some of them are equipped incredibly well, and look a lot like a fiberglass bow rider, except it's made out of aluminum and can do a lot of the same things. Number 2 is more of your bass boat, which is low profile, a very flat, stable fishing platform, so that you can get around as you're getting into the sticks and the shallow water. It gives you a big platform that's very stable that you can walk around on, and they tend to have big horsepower for the size of the boat, so that you can get up and run to your new fishing pole. Not a lot of seating, almost zero freeboard, which is the height of the boat inside from the floor to overboard. So if you look on the aluminum fishing boat, that has a lot of freeboard compared to number 2, that bass boat, which has virtually zero. So it is all about fishing, all about freshwater fishing as well. And then you typically have the trolling motor. That one has the power poles. You can see those 2 little spikes sticking up on the back that allow you to easily set your boat in a spot in shallower water. Number 3 is a walk around. These tend to be very popular at the coast. Fiberglass walk-around tend to be powered with an outboard, maybe an inboard, maybe even a diesel engine. And these boats typically are more offshore fishing, getting out into the deeper water. You have a little cabin down below, which may have some creature comforts, a sleeping area, maybe a head compartment, maybe a small galley, but just a place to get up out of the sun, store your gear and while you're running offshore, but very, very focused on offshore fishing. Tend to be at the coast. You have single, twin, and again, they're starting to put triples on these in the big horsepower. And then number 4 is a flats boat. A flats boat's designed just to get into the really shallow water. You've got that poling platform over the engine, and it's designed to get you into the fishing spots. A smaller boat, doesn't take much water to get into the spots where you're looking for those fish. And again, it's very much about fishing. Although you can do, on some of them, you can do some water sports, but its main focus is fishing. So a lot of different options, and the key is to figure out what is it that you want to do on the boat. Where are you going to do your boating? And who's going to be with you? If you're going to take a family of 6 with you and you're going to go fishing, well, the bass boat, it's a fishing boat, but it's not really a great option. Maybe the aluminum fishing boat. If you're all about entertaining and you're just going to go out for the day, well, that pontoon or tri-toon could be a great option, or maybe a deck boat, and then you choose which one is right for you there. If you're serious offshore fishing, maybe the center console, maybe the walk around, but that's how you're going to guide to the type of boat that's right for you. And now you know some of the terminology, so you don't need to feel intimidated when you talk to somebody at a boat show or a boat dealer or just a boater in general. You know some of the terms. I had in a previous video, I had a bunch of comments saying, I didn't realize it was pronounced bow. I thought it was bow rider, not bow rider. Well, now you know, and you can be equipped a little bit more to make the right decision. So why buy a boat? So you know what they are. You may know what kind. If you're here, you're thinking about it. I'm going to give you a little pitch on buying a boat. You want to make sure that you're financially capable of doing it and that it's not going to be a major stressor financially. But if you buy a pre-owned boat, you buy the right boat, you can do it within a very small budget. But here's why. It's going to have a major impact on your lifestyle. You work hard. You're successful. You have the financial resources, even if it's just a couple $100 a month, to put towards your boating lifestyle. If you have that, there is no better way to relax, to get out into nature, to be active, fishing, water sports, swimming. Just go out and read a book, get some sun, be outdoors, be in nature, go watch the leaves turn, watch the bald eagles at the lake, go offshore, take the boat to the restaurant, entertain your guests. There's just a number of things that you can do, and it's all about enjoying your success in life. The relationships you'll build with your family. If you have kids, my family got our first boat when I was 5 years old. We've always been a boating family since then. It's what brings our family together. You can throw my family, including cousins and aunts and uncles, into a boating environment, and it just instantly, boom, we're together. That's us. You can build that in a single generation. Friends. Boaters tend to be very friendly. You get on the water and you're going to meet a whole new social circle. If you're at a marina, it's even easier, or a boat club or a yacht club. You're going to make new friends. You're going to be on the water, or you can just cruise out and have solitude. So the options that are out there are endless. There's a book called The Blue Ocean. What is it? That's not the name of it. This gentleman did some research about the benefits of being around water, and what they found is that the water relaxes you. It calms you down. It lowers your stress level, lowers your cortisol level. And there's actually scientific research, neuroscience, where they've hooked people up to brain waves around water, and there's a significant advantage to being on the water, and a boat gives you access to all of it. They can be very easy to learn. There's some other videos that we've created on how to boat so that you can learn all the stuff you need to and make it easy and simple. So boating, to me, if you have the ability to fit into your budget and it doesn't take but a couple $100 a month, I highly suggest that you do it, because it really can change your life change your relationships, strengthen your family, open up new social circles, give you that almost vacation away from your real life, and makes a big impact. So, new or used. You'll notice that I'm not here to convince you of any type of boat, any brand of boat, and new or used is the same thing. Do what's right for you. I've done a whole video on this, so you could dive into that at the channel or at the website boatbuyersecretweapon.com. You can get it there. New boats, they tend to be a little bit more expensive. Maybe you can get a little bit more favorable financing if you're financing. You're going to have a warranty, so you know the cost of ownership. You know you're not going to have any major repairs unless you do something that's, you don't take care of it properly, you run it up on the rocks. But for the first 5 years or so, you've got a pretty set cost of ownership, right? You've got your payment if you're financing, you've got your insurance, you've got your storage, you've got your fuel, and you've got your basic maintenance. I've done a whole video on the true cost of boating as well that you can check out. On the used side, your upfront investment is going to be a little bit less. You can buy a nice used boat for $5,000 or $10,000. If you do the right inspections, you can make sure you're not buying somebody else's headaches. Go check out our used boat videos to get more on that. So a used boat is going to be a lower financial investment, but you're likely going to have some issues with the boat. Even a boat that's 2 weeks old has got a scratch on it, or something is not perfect about that boat. So on the used side, if you're okay with that and you want the savings, then look used. If you are, man, it's got to be absolutely perfect, and I'm okay spending that little bit extra, having that depreciation up front, then look new. Now, there are a couple caveats. Sometimes you can get a new boat that maybe is a leftover model. The 2019 is just closing out, 2020s are coming in, and there's a 19 on the lot that you can get for a great deal. It might be about the same as a used boat that you could buy, and it may have warranty. On the used side, you get something used that's 3 or 4, maybe 5 years old. It's in great shape. It's in almost the same condition as a new boat, minus a few little scratches, nicks. It's got some hours on it. Somebody used the bathroom. Those types of things are going to be there, but you can have substantial savings. So decide which is right for you. Go watch that new or used video, and if you're struggling with that decision, and I go into a lot more detail. Dealer or private seller. Again, if you're going new, you're going to have to deal with the dealer. That's just the way it is. If you're looking used, remember, a dealer they have a bunch of boats to sell. Because they have a bunch of boats to sell, they have a lot of prospects out there, and they're advertising, and everything is around bringing new people in to buy. So if they have a used boat, they're typically going to be able to sell it for market value because they have a bunch of boats to sell, and they've got to make money on those to keep the dealership going. A private seller has a single boat to sell. It's not their job. It's not their world. They either bought a new boat, or they're getting out of boating and they want to sell this one. Therefore, sometimes you can get a good deal from a private seller. But they only have one boat to sell, so it's got to be the right situation. Other times they'll say, oh, it's my baby, and they try to get too much for it than what it's actually worth, and they don't know the market. So a dealer is going to be a fair market value price in most cases. You're not going to get a great steal, but you're also not going to overpay. A private seller, you may overpay, or they may ask for more than what it's worth, or they may ask for less than what it's worth because they don't know the market. They have to get rid of it. There's a divorce situation or whatever. On the other hand, the private seller, they have one boat to sell, and once they sell it to you, they wash their hands of it. There may be some issues that they know about or don't know about because they're not educated, and you buy somebody's headache. A dealer, on the other hand, typically, not always, but a dealer's going to be more honest and forthcoming because their long-term reputation is on the line. So I would buy from either. I don't have any problem buying from either. My caution to you would be make sure you inspect it the proper way. Go watch our How to Buy a Used Boat Without Getting Ripped Off videos, and you can buy from a dealer or a private seller and make sure that you make a smart decision. Upfront or financing. It's a big question if you're on different message boards. I hear it all the time on my videos. And make sure to leave a comment down below that you liked it, that you had a specific question for any part. We always appreciate that. We appreciate the thumbs up, the liking, sharing on your social media, and help share this information with other boaters that have the same questions that you do and don't have a reliable, unbiased source that they can go to. But paying up front, if you've got the resources, it's great. Pay for it one time and you're done. Financing, typically financing, they're going to ask for 10% down, maybe 20% in some situations. They're going to allow you to finance it for anywhere from 7 to 20 years, depending on the loan amount that you're looking at, depending on your credit. And they're going to have very competitive rates compared to what you can get a car for. It's usually going to be a percent or two above what you would get a car for. Now, with that said, make your decision based on what your investments are doing, how you could use that money in other ways. Maybe financing makes sense, maybe it doesn't. How long are you going to keep the boat? All of that can come into the equation. But if you're looking at financing, we've got a great video on financing where we're talking about all the ins and outs of financing and making sure that you get the best possible deal. So, the true and complete cost of ownership. I've got a full video on this. So I mentioned a little bit. So the true and complete cost of ownership. Not only do you have the cost of the boat, you've got cost of insurance, the cost to store the boat, whether you're going to keep it in your driveway, keep it on a lift at a marina, keep it in a lot, wherever you're going to keep it, there's going to be a cost associated with that in most cases. Cost of maintenance. You've got to not only maintain the engines, but you've got to maintain the boat, whether that's you cleaning it yourself or hiring a professional detailer every year, doing the oil gear lube changes, keeping your impeller in good condition, cost of fuel, cost of filling up the cooler every time you go out, cost of your bait, cost of your gear. You know, most times when you buy a boat, it's not just you buy the boat and you're done. Now you've got to get your life vest, you've got to get your safety equipment, you've got to get your inner tubes, your water skis, your wakeboards, your ropes, your fenders, your dock lines, your anchor chain, your anchor line. Oh, and you probably want this gadget and that electronic, and you're going to go to Overton's or Amazon, and you're going to find some cool gear. You got to get a good cooler. You got to get your koozies. You got to get your beach towels. You've got all this stuff that you need to get, and that all comes into the true cost and complete cost of boat ownership. It's not just the boat. There's other things that go with it. If you're financially conscious and you say, hey, we got to make sure we're making a smart decision before we jump into this boating thing, go check that out. It's a great video. I go into a lot of detail. I go into detail of different sizes of boats and different styles of boats and how much different things will cost in a very general area, but it's going to give you a lot of value. Questions to ask. If you're buying a used boat, there's a whole different set of questions that you need to ask that I go over in the used boat details. But just in general, you want to ask on a new boat, you want to ask about warranty. Hey, how does the warranty situation work? You want to ask about service. Do you service this? How much do you charge for service? What type of service is required on this particular boat? Then you want to ask about the relationship with the manufacturers. Hey, how long have you been with the manufacturer? How do they handle these types of things? And remember, up front, you're talking to a salesperson that gets paid commission. Afterwards, you're talking to the service people that have to deal with the manufacturers, and the manufacturers have to approve any warranty work. So you may want to get yourself in front of a service person to ask some of these questions. That's not the salesperson. They don't have the scripted answer to make the sale. They've got the real world answer. Talk to some past customers about the situation, their experience of the dealers, of the manufacturers, so you know what really is going to happen. Okay? And then you want to ask the questions about the particular boat. Make sure that everything that you've negotiated is on paper. No, oh, we talked about it, I assume it's fine, just sign everything and we'll take care of you. Just make sure it's written on the purchase agreement, whether it's a seller, a private seller, or a dealer. Make sure that anything that you've talked about that you expect, hey, they're going to get us these cushions, they're going to get us the trolling motor, the title. We've got to get that cleared up before you sign anything. Make sure that's all written down in whatever agreement that you're making, a purchase agreement or a contract or whatever. Make sure it's all written out and detailed so that there's no questions. After the money changes hands, it's much more difficult to get those things unless you have it on paper. You have a little bit of accountability there. Okay, insider secrets. Here's the thing about boating. Buying a boat is just enough like buying a car that it'll feel very similar, but it's just enough different that there are some things that will catch you. The boating industry is less than 1/10 of the auto industry. So if you decide that you're going to buy a Ford F-150, you go and you pick out your F-150, or you say, oh, I want it to have this, I want it to have that, and they can go to a number of dealers, they can go to Ford, and they can get exactly what you want within a week. With boats, it's not the same. Boats have to buy in most cases, have to buy their inventory from a dealer or from the manufacturer. The manufacturer builds it, sends it to them, and they're typically 6 to 8 weeks out to get the next boat, if they can get one at all, because boats are very segmented, they're very much handmade, and it is sometimes they run out of production capacity. So it's not like a Ford factory where they're churning out 1 million F-150s a year. Sea Ray, the most popular Sea Ray that they built several years ago was a 205 Sport. They built less than 1,000 of them, or right at 1,000. Maybe it was 1,200. The most popular boat in the U.S., they built just over 1,000 of them. So you got to plan ahead a little bit. If you're looking to get exactly what you want, you got to make sure that you start the building process a little bit earlier. The other thing that's important to know is the local support that you get from the person that you buy from can make your boating lifestyle enjoyable or a disaster. If you buy from the wrong dealer, sometimes you will regret the decision, no matter how great of a deal you got on the boat, no matter how perfect the boat is. So if you're a first-time boater, I encourage you to get a relationship. You don't necessarily have to buy it from them, but build a relationship with a local dealer. If you buy it from them, it definitely puts you up higher on their list of people that they're going to help out. Because in the boating world, just like the manufacturing isn't like the auto side, the service side isn't either. So in the busiest 6 months of the year, the dealer, they can't get enough work, and they may be 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks out on getting service completed. And if you bought your boat from somewhere else and you come in cold and say, oh, I just need to get this fixed so I can get out on the water for the 4th of July, they may say, well, we can't get you until August 1st. So understand that may be the situation. So be more prepared, get more in advance of the work that you want to get done. The better relationship you have with the dealer or whoever is doing your service work, the more likely you're going to get well taken care of. Also, make sure that you have local knowledge of your boating area. There are certain things that the way the water is, certain equipment you need in certain areas, certain little tricks, certain dangers in the water that you'll want to know, and you'll want to talk to some local boaters before you just go out and start hauling ass around the water. Pick those things up before you get out there, and you'll have a much more enjoyable boating lifestyle. Now, the biggest insider tip that I can give you, I've created all these videos. One of the ways that that we pay to support this, all of the videos and the uploading and the editing and all the costs that go into this, is we've got a little program. It's called the Best Negotiation Technique to Save Big Money. I call it the Magic Money Saving Method. And you can get that at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save. I tend to have it on sale a bunch because it's not about making $1 million with that. It's just about supporting this channel and helping people get the right boat at the best price. So that negotiation question, you can go to boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save and you can get that. I will tell you that while you're there, if you want to grab a copy of our toolkit, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon Boat Buyer Toolkit, you can grab that for free. grab that Boat Buyer Secret Weapon Toolkit at boatbuyersecretweapon.com/toolkit. You can download it. After you download that toolkit, you'll be given the lowest price on that negotiation question, the magic money saving method. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're always putting out new content. We're focused on buyers, but we also have all of this information that we're gathering on how to boat safely, how to operate your boat. That will be coming very soon. So be sure to check that out, subscribe so you don't miss anything. And YouTube has recommended a couple videos that are going to be helpful for you. And go check out all of the articles, the resources at boatbuyersecretweapon.com. Thank you. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And share it on social media. That would be a huge value to us. And we'd really appreciate you getting the word out so that we can help more boaters, because what we know is life truly is better on the water. Thanks a lot.